106.1 Real Excess. It's the Monday evening show with me, Jon Kirkman, through to 11. I would just like to say something now about something that happened over the weekend, and it touched me personally, of course, because many of you know that I've done a lot of work with Yes and the various members of Yes over the years, and sadly over the weekend it was announced that Chris Squire had passed away due to complications with leukemia. Chris had been diagnosed with this a little while back. He was announcing it in May and stated that he was undergoing treatment, and he hoped everybody would wish him well and all the best. Well, of course, obviously all of us did that, but sadly it wasn't to be. I first met Chris Squire in 1980, oddly enough, in Manchester on the drama tour. And I met all the guys in Yes at that time, including Jeff Downes and Trevor Horn, Steve Howe and Alan White. Yes have always been a great band, and one of my favourite bands since 1972, when I first saw them, oddly enough, on the Old Grey Whistle Test. And the first song I ever saw, and the one that really hooked me in, was a song called And You and I. They've been through many different lineup changes over the years, but Chris has been the only constant. He was a founder member alongside John Anderson, who actually co-founded the band with Chris in 1968. And Chris has played on every single studio album and every single tour right up to the present. And I have to say that the news really hasn't sunk in for me yet. I am going to be working with Yes again at the end of the year. And in fact, we are working on a project together at the moment, which you will hear more about, I'm sure, in the coming months. For the moment, it just hasn't really sunk in, so I'm a kind of little bit numb. But I just wanted to pay tribute to a man whose music certainly had a big effect on my life, and I know on millions of others as well. Things will never be the same again, but it was Chris's wish that the band did go on. They've got some tours coming up in the next couple of months. They're also going to be touring the UK and Europe next year, and also Cruise to the Edge, of course, at the end of the year in November. And it was Chris's wish that the band continued while he was receiving treatment, and in that instance he'd actually asked Billy Sherwood, a former member of Yes, to take his place and cover for him while he was ill. The plan still remains. Chris has always stated over the years he would be quite happy for the band to continue after he was no longer in the band, and sadly today we're in that position. So with great respect and much love, I would like to play the very next song from one of my favourite Yes albums, and I think lyrically this is quite an important song for me with regards Chris. This is Wondrous Stories.
I woke this morning, love laid me down by the river. Drifting, I turned on upstream, bound for my forgiver. In the giving of my eyes to see a face, sounded silence me, leaving no trace. I begged to leave to hear your wondrous story.
Yes, and Wondrous Stories. And we're playing that in tribute to the late Chris Squire.
Wondering aloud